What's up, everybody? It is a Blue Drake, and I remember when Battlefield Hardline came out many years ago, I got this comment on one of my videos where I was talking about how disappointed I was with the game that basically told me to stop complaining or go make my own game. Fast forward 7 years later, Battlefield 2042 just came out, and I have to say, save for a few things, like a couple redeeming features in Battlefield Portal, I am insanely disappointed, and for a lot of the exact same reasons that I was also disappointed 7 years ago. But the difference this time is I actually am making my own game. So, in this video, I want to make it official. I want to compete with Battlefield, and I want to make a game that is everything that I wanted Battlefield to be, that EA and DICE just refuse to ever make Battlefield be. And I want to go into detail with exactly the reasons why I'm disappointed with 2042, exactly the reasons why I'm disappointed with the Battlefield franchise, why I think it's only going to get worse, and also why, yeah, I think I can do better. So I'm not expecting this video to get a lot of positivity. I'm assuming there might be a lot of dislikes, but I really stand behind this and I want to go into detail about the reasons why. And for anybody that doesn't know, the game that I'm working on is called Operation Harsh Doorstop. And after watching this video, if you believe in our vision and you believe in what we're trying to do, you can go and you can support the game on Patreon and get a Steam key to the game right now and play it with me. All right, so let's get into it. So to set the stage, I want to do a speed run of all of the different things in Battlefield 2042 currently that I really just think is not acceptable. And there's obviously a lot of issues like crashes and disconnects and general instability and lack of polish that should not be in a game at launch that is developed by a studio of this caliber that has access to this kind of a budget. But beyond that, even if all of those issues weren't present, there is a whole bunch of other things that really should be in a game like this that I don't think EA is ever going to put into the game or ever develop for the game, even in a best case scenario. Even if everything at launch was going swimmingly for them, I have a feeling that they will never do these things that I think for a game like this is just, it should be in there. First and foremost, and I feel like this is definitely something that a lot of people feel differently about, but for a game like this, it should have some form of an offline mode. Whether that's the ability to play against bots or some form of a campaign or really just anything that allows you to experience the game without having to log in to some kind of online portal. And the reason for this is because I pre-ordered Battlefield 2042 for, I don't know, $100, and I wasn't even able to play it for the first 2 days because I couldn't connect to EA's servers because they were so overloaded. Things like that is just completely unacceptable. And even things like Battlefield Portal, which I think is the best part of Battlefield 2042, you cannot play if EA's servers are overloaded, which if you're starting up a match against bots in Battlefield Portal and you can't start a match because Battlefield's servers are overloaded, what is the point of even purchasing the game for Battlefield Portal if you can't play it? It's pointless. Secondly, games that cost $100 should not have additional microtransactions in that game. Either release a free game that is supported by microtransactions or release a full priced game that is a proper standalone experience. It is getting to a point where the level of DLC and microtransaction content and all of these other things are making previous memes of publishers cutting up games look like nothing. It is getting to a point of pure absurdity. Either charge $100 for a game and create a full experience, or create a free game that has microtransactions and a marketplace. Stop doing both. And lastly, well, actually, I could probably go on for hours about all sorts of things, but I feel like these are the three biggest things for me personally. You should have full support for modifications. Battlefield Portal is pretty cool, but the fact that Battlefield Portal requires an online connection that doesn't work half the time, the fact that you can only use the maps that you make available, so there's never going to be any new maps created by the community, and the fact that you can't create any new weapons, you can't create any new characters, you can't create really anything other than new game modes, means that compared to most other sandbox games on the market today, you really can't do anything. And heralding Battlefield Portal as this pioneering sandbox mode where you're empowering the players to be creative is honestly kind of laughable, because it is the bare minimum that you could be doing to support your creative community. It's better than nothing, but trying to act like it is anything other than the bare minimum is ridiculous. Now, there's a lot of people that have said, but Blue Drake, you don't know anything about game development. That's how they need to make money in order to make their game. And that's what I really want to dig into, because for the game that I'm now making, because Battlefield couldn't satisfy me, does have offline support for single player and bot matches and cooperative play, or whatever you want to do. You don't have to connect to a central server to play the game, and you can play alone by yourself without an internet connection. There is no predatory marketplace with microtransactions geared towards milking every dime out of the player, and we have a full SDK where not only can you make custom game modes like you can in Battlefield Portal, but you can also create entire maps from scratch, new weapons, new game modes, new characters, anything you want without limitation. So, it's at a point where acting like doing those things isn't possible, or it's too difficult for the Battlefield development team, is absolutely absurd. It is possible, and they are refusing to do it because they want to control the money and they want to monetize the game at the expense of the player's experience as much as possible. And while we're on the topic of money, let's talk about how much money EA has in order to make a quality game to set the perspective a little bit more. Battlefield 5 sold 7.3 million copies at an average reported value of $31.96, which means that Battlefield 5 made $233,308,000 throughout its release time frame. Now, to put this in perspective, Operation Harsh Doorstop, which is my game, to date, throughout its entire lifetime of development, has made just under $100,000 through Patreon. And it's a little funny because I feel like this is going to end up being similar to those Fiverr comparison videos where it's like, this is how much you get for a little bit of money, and this is how much you get for a whole bunch of money. And in this case, it's like, this is what you get for $100,000. And this is what you get for $233 million. And don't get me wrong, Operation Harsh Doorstop is not a finished game yet. There's a lot of things that we're still going to have to add to the game and improve for us to reach parity with Battlefield 5. But it's at this point where, is this $233 million better? I don't think so. So we are reaching a point where you have studios making exponentially more money than indie development teams. But if you were to actually compare the amount of work that they get done for that amount of money, the amount of work per $1,000 is so significantly less that it's reaching a level beyond just sheer ineptitude and is now broaching into questionable morality. How do you have an entity with this much resource making something that is so poor in quality while simultaneously focusing more and more on predatory business practices? It is insane to me to think that they are still at this point on top of the industry and heralded as a standard for first-person shooters. I feel like they've lost that crown. And anyone at this point that would say otherwise, I would question whether their loyalty is to the players or if they're actually a part of some Game Changers program or other sponsorship campaign, because it's just beyond defendable at this point. So I just wanted to make this video to get this out in the open and just be really clear about this. I am at a point where I want to directly compete with Battlefield. I am so disappointed, not just with Battlefield 2042, but the past many games that have continuously gone in the wrong direction, making tone-deaf design decisions, not just from a creative standpoint, but also from a technical standpoint, implementing online-only features that don't even work, or implementing marketplaces and predatory business practices that don't belong in the game. And even reading articles about interviews with people who are in charge of these decisions, recently talking about how they might even be incorporating NFTs and cryptocurrency into these games, makes me realize that they are so focused on exploitive behavior that I don't think I have any faith in this franchise to resurrect itself at any point in the future. And waiting for them to change is only going to hurt everybody who still wants Battlefield to return to its original form. I don't think it's going to happen, and I think it's going to hurt everybody that is waiting for that to happen. So from this point on, while I will still play Battlefield games, especially because I want to continue interacting with the Battlefield community, I think my focus is going to be more than it ever has been on building our own game and focusing on creating the experience that I have always wanted in a game. Not just like Battlefield, but just in a game, period. And if you guys want to support that vision and you want to come along on this journey, then please help us do this. Lots of people have been saying over the years, okay, well, if you guys don't like this game, why don't you just make your own? And here we are doing that. We are doing it. This is an opportunity for the community, not just the Battlefield community, but all communities, to finally come together and make what we want. No bullshit, nothing other than just pure creation and focus on creating the game that we want from the beginning. And if there's anybody out there, I don't care if it's EA or Activision, that is going to make a game as sad as Battlefield 2042 has been, I think we're at a point where we shouldn't even get upset. We should just focus more on our own game and do the stuff that they refuse to do. So thanks so much for listening to this passionate, angry rant of mine. And while I don't necessarily expect everybody to agree with me, I hope this has really helped to explain my position on all of this. I love Battlefield. I love it more than I think anybody could ever know, but it's at a point where I can't wait around for them to fix themselves anymore. And even though it's going to take a lot more effort for us to achieve the kinds of things that Battlefield has achieved, the large-scale maps with destruction and vehicles and aircraft, my God, at this point, I think we might actually have a better chance of getting all those things done in the way that we want them to be done than EA or DICE currently have the ability to do. Because they have more money than us. They have more people. They have more talent. What they are doing with it, I have no idea. But it isn't going into making a good game. So I'm hoping that with our incredibly small amount of money, we actually might be able to do a better job because we care more about the game and we care more about the people playing the game than they do. And I'm hoping that as more people continue to see that and more people continue to contribute to our project, we might one day, maybe, we might even overtake Battlefield and make a better experience ourselves. So, thanks so much for listening. I hope you guys feel the same way. And besides that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Remember, Blue Drake loves you, and I can assure you this isn't going to be the last video I'm going to make on either Operation Harsh Doorstop or probably other games in the industry that I hope at some point take a turn for the better. All right. Cheers.